1983, he stood as tall as any man who ever played the game. Buddy was an extremely likable person, and when his 9-year career on the playing field ended, he stayed in the game and eventually became the director of player relations for the NFL. Buddy always said the worst discrimination in the world isn't color, it's size. But he became an all-pro in the days when the helmet had no face mask and talent was concentrated in a 12-team league. The NFL has had better players than Buddy Young, but no better man.
As the NFL's director of player relations, Claude Buddy Young was the first black executive ever to be hired by a major sports league. But Buddy Young will also be remembered as a mighty might runner who began his career at the University of Illinois. As a freshman, he equaled Red Granger's school record for touchdowns in a season. And as a senior, he was the Rose Bowl MVP. Young was equally talented in track and field, where he harbored Olympic aspirations.
He had been the national indoor and outdoor 40 and 60-yard dash champion, 1946 and 47. And he said his one regret in life was he didn't get a chance to represent the country in the 1948 Olympic Games, because representing his country meant that much to Buddy. The lure of a lot of money in pro football, and being from a poor family and being married at the time, he had to go where the money was, and that was why he signed with the New York Yanks. He was an explosive back, colorful. Art Rooney said that he was, without a doubt, the most entertaining football player that he had ever seen.
Entertaining or not, many in football looked upon tiny Buddy Young as a sideshow freak, an acorn among oaks.
I played 9 years of professional football, weighed 167 pounds, stood 5 feet 4.5 inches tall, and most of the time I was running for my life.
At times, the ball itself appeared to be bigger than the little running back. But Buddy Young overcame his size disadvantage, as well as the misfortune of playing for some of the worst teams in history. The New York Yanks, Dallas Texans, and Baltimore Colts were not very good. But with each club, Buddy mixed magic into the general despair of their losing seasons. Opponents respected, even feared Buddy's blazing speed. And some even thought Young could run against and win in a race against a horse.
I convinced Buddy that it might be a good idea if he raced against the Colt mascot, whose name was Dixie. And we staged publicity pictures, and I guess Buddy realized that, that it was something to talk about, but that maybe it wouldn't come off. And on the morning of the game, Buddy called up and said, "Look, you have to get me out of that situation that I've agreed to do for you, to run against that horse." And I said, "Young, there's no way that you're going to bail out, that the public's coming out there tonight to see the intra-squad game, but they also want to see a man run against a horse." So Buddy ran against the horse, and it created quite a bit of attention, not only here but around the country. And Buddy came out of the starting blocks. They always said that there's never been a track man alive who didn't have a little larceny in his heart. And Buddy came out before the gun went off and it stole about a 25-yard jump on the horse. So he managed to beat the Colt mascot to the finish line.
Although Young was one of the first blacks to play in the NFL, he felt more discrimination against his size than his race. But Buddy turned his tiny stature into an asset in the eyes of the fans.
The fan appreciates the little guy simply because of what he's made out of. They see him small in stature. You see his quick feet over the lumbering strides of the big tackles and the defensive ends. And that contrast holds excitement for the fan. So if he's itty, bitty, tiny, and he gets the job done, gets that hole quick, is able to block that man, is able to receive that ball, do all the things that the offense cries for him to do, he's got a place.
Buddy Young's place in pro football history is secure. Little Buddy Young, smallest of them all, but in height of manhood, you were mountains tall.
A landmark